Why are we giving it this much focus? How does it help? What does it do for us as a people? Does anybody give a shit anymore? This could all go horribly wrong at any minute. Hello there, and welcome to the 225th edition of Lewis Black's Rantcast, entitled Insanity Squared. Yeah, snappy little title for snappy times. No, I've named this after the fact that the insane boss that we have has started a fight with the insane leader of Tesla and the SpaceX, or whatever the fuck, X, the Doge himself. The two massively insane people going after each other, and it becoming the news of the day. And that's really what's important, and that's what we should be worried about. And boy, what did it mean? And how will this help? Will it destroy us? Are we ever going to get? What are we going to do? Oh my God. We all knew this was going to happen. I mean, this is all simple. All right. It's like you sit there and you watch shit and you go, we all know what is going to go on. We know that they're not going to be pals forever. Now we're discussing the fact that they're not pals forever. We knew that. Okay. Why are we paying attention to this stuff? Why are we giving it this much focus? How does it help? What does it do for us as a people? Does anybody give a shit anymore? Okay? And meanwhile, the Democrats stand by and go, well, look, they're just eating each other and we don't have to do anything. Well, do something. Okay? Make some comments. Make some comments that fucking illuminate what the hell is going on. And that we are, instead of going, why are we watching this? Talk about what needs to be done. People can't get affordable housing. People can't fucking eat. 60% of the American people are fucked. Okay? Worry about real shit. As opposed to these two guys who don't have to worry about anything at all, except the fact that they don't seem to have to deal with mental illness because they don't seem to notice that they have it. One of them is taking a cocktail of drugs. The other one is apparently, I don't think gets enough real protein in order to allow the brain to matter to really go. And I don't want to hear it anymore. What are you saying? How come you come down on this? Look, the Democrats, you can't even say anything about because they're not fucking doing anything. All right? So stop it with your fucking nonsense of defending bullshit and crap. Okay? It's extraordinary, these two. It's just extraordinary. And now he's going, it gave him $291 million. Nobody it stood up and said, this is bullshit and nonsense, and this isn't the way we work. All right? We've all been asking for this to stop. I'm still getting stuff every day from the Democrats. Son, if you could just send us $20, we'd really be able to turn this around. I doubt it. You know what? You know what turns it around? Speaking fucking English. That's what turns it around. All right? Worrying about what the fuck is in front of us, as opposed to two inanimate objects slapping each other up. Whatever I'm saying right now, two inanimate objects. God, if they only were. And now he's saying that he gave that ton of money, that $291 million, and he wouldn't. That he's the one who won the boss his presidency, huh? So he should, and now he's, he's finally going, well, look at what he's doing. You should have known that was what he was going to do. A whole ton of us knew this was what he was going to do, that they were going to take the budget and blow it up and make rich people richer and screw over a ton of other people. And we're going to have to, and then just make shit up. 1.2 million, 4 million illegal immigrants are funded by Medicaid. They're not. Okay? So, it's got to be, it can't be in the first paragraph. It's got to be fucking, the Times, the Washington Post, every fucking paper in America that still fucking exists, should have 1.4 million immigrants, okay, illegal immigrants. Don't get Medicaid. It should be a headline, not in the middle of a fucking paragraph where nobody notices. Okay? And it's got to be, it's got to be out there where people see it. You want to worry about that. If that upsets you, you check to see if your state does it. All right, because that's where that happens. It's that it doesn't do anything. And then we got and you got Joni Ernst, senator from Iowa, which was when I started doing stand up, the most literate state in America was Iowa, and now they've elected someone illiterate doesn't even begin to describe it. Okay, illiterate people are smarter than her. Because how can I make that statement? Because she's able to read, and and the shit that comes out of her mouth. She's one of the ones who was 1.4 million. That's where one of the things that I read this past week and heard, that she's in her town hall meeting. Somebody basically says that Medicaid's going to be taken away from people. It's going to be taken away from people. It is going to be taken away from people who need it. Not illegal immigrants. And a woman in the audience, I believe it was a woman, says people are going to die. And she said, well, people are going to die. And she comes out the next day, and her apology is to stand in a graveyard saying, well, everybody knows people are going to die. And then in one of the most astonishing things, that what you really should know is that there really is life everlasting. We don't really die. I mean, she didn't even come close to approaching what the fuck it is that her vote means and what she is doing to tons of people by believing that somehow adding 3.2 trillion or whatever the fucking number is to the debt that we have by basically cutting the necessities of people and not taxing the people who need to be taxed. And even I just come on already. Okay? We tried this fucking experiment. It doesn't work. All right? He gave them $291 million, and you're worried about him getting more money? Holy God. And even he's saying, there's too much shit in it, and he's stoked up on fucking and we'll repeat it again, every drug on earth he's shoveling in. And we're supposed to listen to him, please, and that somehow he should be forgiven for the fact that he helped this happen, and that if he wasn't there, it wouldn't have happened. Then what were you fucking doing? Okay, now we're supposed to turn around and go, oh well. Boy, thanks for finally joining up and kind of pointing out that we're getting fucked. Okay? And I'm not even getting fucked. There are tons of Americans who are getting fucked. I'm sitting here, I got a goddamn fucking baby camera that allows me to sit in this idiotic, wherever I am, my little public access studio that I've created that I'm lucky enough to be able to have. All right, and so I mean I've kind of got it, but it's other folks are getting screwed. Okay, and you got Jody Ernst, and you got Linda McMahon, who's in charge of education. How is this even possible? Come on, Jesus, and she's just a piece of work. You put her in charge of education. And she said, in referring to AI, she said it was A1. Okay, I understand that because I was doing the Daily Show this week, all right? And I have to say, the whole time I'm going, don't say A1, don't say A1, don't say A1. Because when you look at it in the prompter, when you look or you read it on paper, because there's not here's I, but you need these two things. This looks like one, and this and this. So I can't really yell at her because I did it. I made it all the way to the end. I must have said it, AI a dozen, but at least 10 times or whatever. And then right before the horse got to the barn, A1 came out of my mouth. It's not a steak sauce, but essentially it has the intelligence at this point, at many times, as a steak sauce. They just... the Chicago Sun-Times, I believe it is, the paper up there, the two of them, but I think it was the Sun-Times, had AI come up with a book list, and it had authors, real authors, in books that they didn't write. Okay, with descriptions of them, the books that weren't written. So, boy, let's really start. Let's jump on this horse and ride it around the track, because it's going 100 miles an hour and it doesn't know what it's doing, and it doesn't know when to stop, and nobody is editing it. All right. Even when I was doing interviews, people would call to ask if things I said that were in the article were real. Nobody seems to be doing that with AI. All right. And also, while this argument was occurring between the two, when Insanity Square, the Insanity Square dance was being done, I was in the was there at the day it happened at the Daily Show, getting ready to do my piece, and literally, like 4 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, all of this nonsense exploded on X and Truth Social, and they were going at each other, and literally, it's one of the few times I've been there where they just had to rewrite they had to rewrite the whole beginning of the stuff that Michael Costa was doing at the beginning of the show. Had to be rewritten in light of what had happened, because we got to get and it's amazing. It kind of, at least it ran its course, and we didn't have to. They really pulled off. I just was kind of stunned by how fast they were able to turn that around and maintain the humor. And then Grace came on, and even her thing was slightly changed. It was good. It made me proud to be a part of of that team. And there's more, and more continues, and more continues to happen, and more continues to come down the pike. And it's more than we should have to bear. Okay, keep these idiots out of our face. All right, I mean, really keep them out of our face. They were yelling too. Kennedy from Louisiana, a real piece of work, who always looks like he's chewing his teeth, and Linda McMahon had an exchange, and they were talking about the fact that something called Trio, which I don't have the time, energy to go into right now, but it's many people believe it does a great job in terms of education. They said that the money that we were putting into it, the federal government, it was $1.2 billion a year, and that in 10 years it would be $1.2 trillion a year. So the two geniuses, between the two of them, they couldn't add it. Right? And that's the leadership. They went, well, boy, it's 1 point, it's going to cost us in 10 years $1.2 trillion. No, it's going to cost us $12 billion. That's what it's going to cost us. Woo! And it does it do a great deal of good? Many people say it does. Should there be a discussion of what it's doing? Yes. Okay? Then you talk about what it costs. Because we have the money to do whatever we want to transform this world we live in. And we refuse to do it. Not unless somebody can live in 3 homes and have all the ponies they ever dreamed of. God damn it, I'm losing my mind. Son of a bitch. And it shouldn't be this upset. I got a new dog. Meanwhile, back at the idiocy farm, they have made the decision that we really need to reinstill the warrior culture in the Navy, and said some of these boats are named after people, and that undermines the warrior culture. So that naming a boat after Harvey Milk, an extraordinary figure in the history of in terms of gay history and our history, which is a part of our history, and Harriet Tubman. They want to rename these boats, because they're not worried. Harriet Tubman isn't a warrior. Then the idiots who want to rename it never read the fucking history of Harriet Tubman. Okay, ever. Talk about a warrior, you goddamn idiots. Certainly more of a warrior than Peter Hedgehog could ever dream to fucking be. All right? I don't know I could sit here next week and just sit here and read her history. it matches any major figure in terms of warrior spirit, and so does goddamn Harvey Milk. Being gay in this culture back when he went and did what you had to do in order to take office, and the work he was doing was not just for him and not just for the gay community. This is all, and then I have to sit here and fucking talk about this, okay? That this isn't, but that somehow this is woke. Fuck you, God damn it. Whew. And then meanwhile, how do I think that the boss might be insane? Because in Truth Social, he printed out that one of those great conspiracy things that Biden had actually been killed in 2020 and replaced by a robotic clone. What words am I supposed to do to make that? What else am I supposed to say about that? Huh? That's a joke, folks. That the president of the United States would believe about the president that he replaced, that he was killed, and that president was replaced by a robotic clone, and none of us noticed. Huh? Wow. God, if we could do that, imagine what we could do if we took the money we have. If we're able to do that, if we're able to fool ourselves that way, why don't we fool ourselves into having a better fucking country? And I'm going to end it right there. I've got just a couple of other things. And it's stuff I was going to talk about. It's gone. I didn't even get to. We'll get to it. Because, Lord knows. Except who knows what happens on Monday when the two of them get started again and no news is there except that he said that and Hong Kong, quack, quack, Hong Kong, quack, quack, quack. So reality TV producer Rob Warsoff revealed he'd pitched the Department of Homeland Security on a game show in which desperate immigrants, that's the pitch, desperate immigrants would compete for the prize of U.S. citizenship. How do you not? I mean, I get L.A. I've worked there enough to know. Okay, and also that, boy, you have that L.A. No, I don't have that L.A. mentality because that's one of the reasons I can't live there because of this kind of stuff. The show, which as the working title, The American, would be a celebration of America, said Warsaw. It's not the Hunger Games. No, it's not. Because the Hunger Games is fiction. So let's make the what is truly the desperation of people looking for a better life. Let's turn that into a TV show, you fucking idiots. It's unbelievable. And he's pitching it to the Department of Homeland Security. Things are just ass backwards beyond belief. I'm going to try to get my dog to sit on my lap so you can all see him. We end on a happy note because he's really something. But he's a little tired today. I don't blame him. I'm tired. I passed out. He's killed. I got to wake up early. I should be, it's like boot camp. It's like he is my commander. You've got to get up. I've got to take a shit. And Private Lewis Black will be taking me out to get a shit. And I'll be giving him orders all day. So here he is. Let me see. I'll take a moment here to pause this and I'll be right back. So here's Sammy. And this is my new pal. And he is 4 months and change. He'll be 17 weeks next week. And he has been quite the find. He's been a pleasure to spend time with. And he's the Fluffmeister. A little tired today, tuckered out. And he's been lying there quietly listening to me scream. And so now I'm going off to play with him. And you guys go off and play with each other. And really thank you again. There's some great folks. I mean, seriously, I think you should For those of you who got something to get off your chest, do it. Send it in. I was really, I'm pleased every week to be able to, and pleased and privileged and honored to read what is on your mind. There's one that you'll be hearing this week that really, I think, nails, in a sense, the core of the pain that many people are going through, which has nothing to do with the insanity itself. It just has to do with that we, the greatest country on earth, are unable to really. You'll see. You'll hear it. Okie doke. Well, Sammy says goodbye. I say goodbye. Here you go, Sammy. Say goodbye. Bye. Goodbye. Oh, boy, stop this. It's time to go. I love reading rants from those who've served in the military. And this comes to us from Ron Calhoun. I'm the Navy submariner veteran who spent a significant amount of time underwater preserving the freedom our democracy affords us. Yesterday, Memorial Day, I took time to ponder the fate of many of my fellow veterans who gave their lives defending our democracy. Our nation's leaders are democratically elected while standing on the shoulders of American veterans who gave their lives to preserve our democracy and Constitution. I come from a Navy family and was taught to honor and respect our Commander-in-Chief. However, I feel nothing but disgust and shame in the current leadership. A quick reminder of the West Point commencement address Trump gave on Saturday, May 24th, in which he stated, "You will become officers in the greatest and most powerful army the world has ever known." And I know because I rebuilt that army and I rebuilt the military. He went on to riff about a friend's wife, stating, "There's a lot of trophy wives, doesn't work out, but it made them happy for a little while at least." Then on Memorial Day, our president starts the day with yet another tweet, stating in all caps, "Happy Memorial Day to all, including the scum that spent the last 4 years trying to destroy our country through warped radical left minds." Later in the day, at the Arlington National Cemetery, in front of the tomb of the unknown soldier, he declares, "We're going to have a big celebration, as you know, 250 years. In some ways, I'm glad I missed that second term where it was, because I wouldn't be your president. In addition, we have the World Cup and we have the Olympics. Can you imagine? I missed that 4 years, and now look what I have. I have everything." The velocity of outrageous, egregious shit is literally too much to track. It comes at us daily, sometimes hourly. Yet, even at that pace, sometimes the context and backdrop of the moment creates standouts. This weekend was one of those times. Yet, who stands up to the Commander-in-Chief's ignominious, deplorable behavior? The Republican Party's leaders are hostages who've tied their own blindfolds. The Democratic Party's leaders are feckless and impotent. And all of those in the middle, the independents, are simply not represented. I cannot believe our great nation is standing idly by while our Commander-in-Chief systemically disgraces the body politic. I find myself disengaging from one friend after another, the yeah buts, as I call them. I can't listen to another "yeah, but" response. At some point, false equivalencies start to take on water, and before you know it, there's flooding in the engine room. Well put, RC. Ron Calhoun. Well put. Truly. Well written, I will say. They've tied their own blindfolds. Interesting. Well put. Thank you. And I will not say it. You know I mean it, but I will not say it. We just need to stop saying we thank you for your service and actually thank those who served. by taking care of them and their families. It's ludicrous. You're going to give a tax cut, and these people are just getting fucked. Come home after the war, and they just get fucked. Well, we're going to fight you over Agent Orange. We're going to fight you over this. We're going to fight you over that. We're going to fight you over burn pits. Fuck. Thanks, Ron. And I wanted Ron to kind of talk about Memorial Day and stuff. I just think it's better that way. I do it enough, and glad to hear from someone who's been through it. Rob Stimson. You know who irritates me on a visceral level? Morning people. Couldn't agree with you more. I'm talking about the folks who wake up at 5:30 a.m. every day, drink a nutritious smoothie, and go out jogging in the hood with Tony Robbins urging them on in their earbuds. The shittier the weather, the more empowered they feel. I feel they are related to the psychopaths who wear shorts and a t-shirt when the temps drop below freezing, or take sub-zero cold plunges just for the hell of it. Whether they are trying to impress my cat, Zoe, and I, or not, is immaterial. Zoe has taught me that laying around being a bum and occasionally pooping on the floor is not a bad life. I doubt these folks flock to your shows, except the neon-clad cyclists who ride right down the middle of the road on Bee-Tree Road. Bee-Tree Road has no bike lane. Never will. Their grimaces look angry to me, so possibly they do attend your shows or get squashed like the possums, squirrels, and turkeys. AI had bupkis to do with this rant. Cheers. Good. And for those of you who send in rants, don't use AI at all. There's no reason, okay? AI's happy. I don't need AI to be fucking telling me. But I'm not going to, no, I will not sit and say, AI, would you write a rant about, no, don't. Thank you, Rob. Thank you. From Bill Thomas. I'm reading this as you can, you'll know why. And thank you, Bill. I remember back to one of your earlier specials where you were not allowed to play at the Kennedy Center because apparently 42 fucks was too many fucks for them. I now find it very ironic and to a point extremely satisfying that they now have been thoroughly fucked. I just wonder if the person that counted all your fucks is still there and now counting all the fucks that come out of the mouths of those that stayed. Well, I guess we'll fucking see. And thanks for being my spirit animal. Well, I don't know if that's a good choice, Bill, but thank you for remembering that. But I did get to go back there. Actually, it was HBO. I was going to do a special there, and they didn't want me to work there now. But a couple of years ago during this final run, actually a year ago during this final run, the Kennedy Center reached out, and I went there. So obviously, I don't think whoever was working there and was worried about the fucks is there. And I was actually, to be honest, if I do one more special, that would have been where I did it. And because they were very nice, and it was a lot of fun to play there, and it was an honor, especially since it came to be when I was in junior high school and or high school, and it meant a lot to me. So they said, you want to do that special? Well, woohoo! Now that's out of the question. That is really out of the question, Bill. But thanks for the memories. The Gambler. Okay, Mr. Black, the Daily Show wants to talk gambling. Well, let's go. Casinos are predators. Fucking duh. This is a shocker. Masters of suggestion and nuance. It's not that complicated. Human nature does most of the work. Only a moron could bankrupt the casino. Only a bigger group of morons would hand the nuclear football over to said moron. No need to stress. The moron pissed off someone smarter than him after he gave them access to everything. Gambling 101. Not all bets pay off. Better luck next time, America, if there is one. Thank you, the gambler, whoever you may be. I always appreciate it when folks give their name. Maybe that is you. Maybe your first name is the. Well, if you can, send your name in. And thank you for that. April Hughes is pissed off by something you find in the kitchen, generally, and maybe in your bathroom. Could be all around the house. Let's go. Paper towels. That's right. Paper fucking towels. Remember the old days? When you needed to grab a paper towel to dry your hands and you'd walk over to your paper towel dispenser and whack. Off comes a full-sized paper towel, which was large enough so you could dry not one, but both your hands. Not anymore. Now if you walk over to your paper towel dispenser and whack, off comes a paper towel half the fucking size you need and so small you couldn't dry your dick with it. Select a size, my ass. We are training our children to be happy with less. Interesting way to look at it, April. A conspiracy theory? Or maybe they're just, they're doing that so it'll make us feel like they have more as they give us less. Who knows? The less of the big ones. 3 small ones seem, or maybe are now 2 big ones. Who knows? But I understand your complaint, April, and I hope your children, really get bigger towels in their lifetime. I go through them now like an idiot. Thank you. Here's one from Madeline Feliciano, a whole new complaint, one I've never heard. Louis, today I want someone to explain the planning process of the laying out of picnic areas. Last week, we planned a family gathering at a local area park and paid for a picnic area. All sounds nice, doesn't it? Well, it did until we all got there. We were assigned picnic area 9. Okay, we drove into the picnic areas. We followed the signs. We passed areas 1 through 8. Then nothing. What the fuck? Where is it? We look up the park map and then we saw it there. Picnic area 9 is by picnic area 1. What? Who is the fucker who designed this? Then we drove back. We couldn't find it. And just to make my day, there were no workers on duty. Isn't that a shit show? I took a breath, told my family to drive into the parking area so we can regroup when what do my eyes see? In the corner of the parking lot is the entrance to picnic area 9. What the ever-loving fuck? Wow. Maybe that's why they had to cut back on those folks who were working there. Maybe they just couldn't do the job. That's how come Doge had to kind of cut folks working. Well, this is I think, a local area park. Wow. It's really remarkable. Areas 1 through 9. Why wouldn't you start with 1? Okay, I won't even go into it, Madeline. Thanks for sharing. Here's one from Peter Novotny. He's got something to tell us, and we should listen. Grist for the mill. Taxes. Taxes are necessary to operate a government. Taxes are higher in some places and lower in other states and countries. One of the bedrock tenets of our government is that we are free to move from one state, country, to another without scrutiny. Still, were you able to do that? Still, are we able to? I'm sure our phones know, Peter. I'm just throwing this out. I couldn't resist. The bottom line with taxes is revenue. Revenue is how much money the government actually accumulates in its coffers. Example of how this works from one state to another. Personal experience. A business in state one needs to purchase a plane. The tax on the purchase in state one is 30%, while the tax on the purchase in state two is 15%. The company then purchases and registers the plane in state two, saving the 15%. They then fly the plane to state one and operate it. State one lost any revenue, while state two made revenue, but they do not have to provide any infrastructure to support the usage of the plane. Not fair, but this is how it works. So how does state one increase revenue, or at the very least, recover the revenue lost to state two? The only way to accomplish this is by lowering taxes. If state one were to lower taxes to match, or even a couple of percentage points higher than state two, it could recover those funds. I understand the thought behind tax the rich and the corporations. The reality is that the higher you raise taxes, the more revenue you lose. Now extrapolate this into the global economy. When the U.S. loses business and jobs to other countries, this is why. Thank you for your time, Lewis. From Peter Novotny in San Diego. Well, I'm not sure I totally agree. There's much more to this, Peter, than just that, I believe. And I feel just in this, in the sense of fairness to those who aren't making the kind of money that rich people are making, or corporations, that whether they like it or not, they should pay their fair share, whether it increases what we have or not. I think there's a lot more that goes into this, but then again, economics was taught at 8 a.m, and I had one class I went once and went, this is not going to work. There's nothing that I could learn out of one bloodshot eye. So I wish I was a little more on top of this today, but I have to say, Peter, I appreciate you sharing that with us, because I think that's part of it. But once again, I think as a nation, we actually have to figure this out. Okay? I do know for a fact that, in terms of our budget and the big, beautiful bill, that if we don't raise the taxes, we're not going to offset. Right? What difference does it make? I really appreciate it. That's a thoughtful piece of work, Peter. Thank you. Thanks to all of you for listening to my Rantcast. If you have a rant you want to get off your chest, send it in to me at lewisblack.com/live. You can think of it as therapy, or whatever you want to think of it as. Just let it rip. And I want to thank the true stars of our show, the ranters, and the splendid rants they gave us. Lewis Black's Rantcast was created and hosted by me, Lewis Black. Our live rant audio was produced by James Salter. Our theme song by Chris Lane. Executive producer, Ben Brewer. Executive producers, Matt Kleinschmidt and Robert Kelly.